A dog sat outside the hospital entrance, rain soaking his fur, yet he didn't move an inch. For 7 days straight, he waited, eyes locked on the glass door, ignoring the world around him. He wasn't tied up. He could leave any time. But he didn't. Doctors passed by. Nurses whispered. Security tried to send him away. Still, he returned, always to the same spot. No collar, no name tag, and no one coming for him. Was he lost? Abandoned? Or waiting? What no one knew was, this dog had a reason, a powerful, heartbreaking reason. And when the hospital staff finally uncovered the truth, it silenced the entire ward. This was no ordinary dog. This was a story of loyalty deeper than words, and love stronger than most humans could ever give. And once you hear what happened next, you'll never forget him. The rain poured down in cold sheets, soaking everything in sight. But there he was, right at the hospital gates. A brown dog with tired eyes and a soaked coat. He didn't move. He just sat there, looking straight at the entrance. People passed by with umbrellas. Some stopped for a moment to glance at him. A few nurses even offered him scraps of food, but he didn't eat. He wasn't hungry. He was waiting. Security guards tried to shoo him away. "Hey, go on now," one yelled, waving a stick. The dog stood up, moved a few steps back, and then returned to the same spot as soon as the guard left. Nothing could move him. He had a mission. One child asked, "Why is he sitting here, Mama?" Her mother whispered, "Maybe he's waiting for someone." And he was. But who? And why outside a hospital? Nurse Syra had been working long shifts all week. She was used to the noise, the crying, the rush. But what she wasn't used to was seeing the same dog outside the hospital gate every single day. For 4 days straight, he had not left. "Something's not right," she told her coworker. "Maybe he's a stray," the other nurse replied without much interest. But Syra noticed more. The dog wasn't just loitering. He was watching, waiting. He perked up every time the hospital doors opened. His eyes would scan every person who came out. When it wasn't who he was looking for, he lowered his head again. One evening, she walked closer to him with a bowl of warm milk and a soft piece of bread. "Hey, boy, you okay?" she asked softly. The dog didn't bark, didn't growl. He sniffed the bowl and looked up at her with eyes full of pain, eyes that seemed to say, "Please help me." That night, Syra couldn't sleep. Determined to find the truth, Syra came in early the next morning. She went to the reception desk and asked, "Do we have any patients who came in 4 days ago? Maybe someone who owns a dog?" The receptionist raised an eyebrow. "A dog?" "Yes. He's been sitting outside ever since. Maybe his owner is admitted here." They searched the records. A few possible names came up. Elderly patients. One young man. A woman in a coma. But nothing confirmed. Then Syra had an idea. She asked the security team to pull up footage from the hospital entrance cameras. And there it was. For days ago, a car had pulled up in a panic. A man jumped out holding an unconscious woman in his arms. He shouted for help. The dog followed close behind, barking nervously, trying to stay with them. But as the doors closed behind the man and the woman, the dog was left outside. "That must be him," Syra whispered. "He's waiting for her." The days dragged on, but the dog's vigil never wavered. Every morning, without fail, he would be there, staring at the hospital doors. It was as though time didn't matter to him. He had a single purpose: wait for the woman who had once been his everything. Syra watched him from the windows every day, her heart growing heavier with each passing moment. She was getting closer to understanding the depth of this bond between them. But what was the story behind it? Why had the dog been left alone outside, and why had he refused to leave? Finally, she decided to visit the ICU where the woman had been admitted. The nurses recognized her immediately. "Are you the one who's been asking about the dog?" "Yes," Syra replied, her voice soft but filled with curiosity. "The woman's name is Mrs. Raymond," one of the nurses explained. "She was in a car accident. She's been in a coma since she arrived. Her family's been notified, but no one has come to visit her since." Syra was taken aback. "No visitors? How could that be? She's all alone," the nurse continued. "But we've seen her dog outside every day. The poor thing is so loyal. He's not leaving until she wakes up." Syra knew right then that she had to do something. This dog's devotion was a story that needed to be shared. It wasn't just about a pet waiting for its owner. It was about love, loyalty, and the powerful connection that sometimes goes beyond human understanding. Syra didn't expect anything to change, but every day she hoped for a miracle. The dog still sat by the gates, his eyes fixed on the door where he had last seen his owner. Then one evening, just as the sky began to darken and the streets emptied, something miraculous happened. A sudden, quiet movement within the hospital. Mrs. Raymond's fingers twitched. Syra rushed to the ICU, barely believing what she saw. The monitors were beeping steadily, and the woman's chest rose and fell with shallow breaths. A soft gasp escaped her lips as her eyes fluttered open. "Mrs. Raymond, you're awake," Syra whispered, hardly able to contain her excitement. Mrs. Raymond blinked, her eyes full of confusion. She looked around the room, disoriented, and then, as if instinctively, she whispered, "Where's my dog?" Syra paused, her heart pounding. "He's been waiting for you outside the hospital. He hasn't left once." Tears welled up in Mrs. Raymond's eyes. "He never leaves me. I can't believe he's still out there." In that moment, Syra knew that the bond between them was not just a simple relationship between an owner and her dog. It was a story of unwavering love that could overcome even the darkest of times. It wasn't long before Mrs. Raymond was able to sit up, though she was still weak. Syra, along with a few nurses, helped her get dressed. They opened the door and let her outside, where the dog was still sitting, just as he had been every single day. The moment the dog saw her, his tail began to wag. He stood up, trembling with excitement. But he didn't run. He waited, as if to make sure she was really there, before rushing toward her. Mrs. Raymond collapsed to her knees, and the dog leaped into her arms, licking her face, his eyes full of joy and relief. "Max," she whispered through her tears, "I knew you were waiting for me." Syra stood back, watching the reunion. It was a moment of pure, unspoken love that words couldn't fully capture. The dog's devotion to his owner had saved her, just as she had saved him from a life of loneliness and fear. The story of Max and Mrs. Raymond spread like wildfire, touching hearts everywhere. It was a reminder that love, whether between humans or animals, was the most powerful force in the world, a force that could bring miracles, heal wounds, and restore faith in humanity. And as for Max, he had found his home once again, with a woman who would never let him go.